n'onenya. Omuntu ayinza okugamba munnange side yetu twagenda okulaba nga organization ntono. Mbabuulira alina okuleeta organization n'okufuula ebintu by'abasiraamu kubeera more organized. Ebiri organized byongeremu beba professionals. Olw'ensonga nti wallahi mwabasinga obungi. Ekirala baseeka bwe bagenda okusoma obwaseeka tekitegeeza nti nno fields zonna ez'obulamu bagenda kuzitegeera. Era eyo problem emu gye tulina waneeno okulowooza nti no seeka asobola okumala buli kintu kyonna. Waliwo omwana muwala yankubira twasoma naye nankubira essimu n'aŋŋamba nti nkubiddeko dentist n'aŋŋamba bw'ati naye erinnyo linnyuma seeka oŋŋamba ki? Can you imagine nga mbuuza ku linnyo area of expertise ya dentist naye ng'abuuza ani? Abuuza seeka. Temulowooza nti nno essaawa eno baseeka tubatikka kinene. Temulowooza nti nno mu organization ya masjid mulina okubeera mu professionals ebikwatagana n'essene nga tulina accountant ng'omuntu professional mu ekyo abana managinga masjid nga bamanagers abagimanaginga. What's the problem with that? Kitegeeza bannange tulina okutandika okuzuukuka n'okuzuukusa obwasseruganda waffe ng'abasiraamu n'okubeera nti ffe abasiraamu tetulaba booda. Tunira ekiri wano essaawa eno. Wali osanzeko essinzizo lyonna ng'omuntu ava mu Bawarabu, ava mu India, ava mu Kenya, ava Nigeria, ava mu Somalia, n'ava waneno mu Uganda nga bonna batuula ne basinza. Ekyo ekyenjawulo wallahi okisanga mu Busiraamu. Era ekyo kye kitwongera okwagala eddiini yaffe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kyeyagamba nti liyazdadu imaana ma'a imaanihim. Okubeera nti eddiini yaffe, okubeera nti okukkiriza kwe tulina twongerako okukkiriza ne tulabira ddala nti eno eddiini gye tugobera y'entuufu. Tunuulira obusiraamu bwe butulaga ebintu nga hijja okubeera nti tulina obwasseruganda tumiitinga emirundi 5 buli lunaku ne tumiitinga omulundi gumu buli wiiki ne tumiitinga emirundi 2 buli mwaka. Ebyo byonna Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yabiteekawo kubeera nti atulaga obwasseruganda bwe tulina ng'abasiraamu. Kyova olaba causes bwe zijjanga eza Palestine zongera okubeera nti zitulaga obwasseruganda waffe butuuse. Ekirala ekisembayo nti bannange Palestine buli webeera nga teri mikono gy'abasiraamu ebiseera ebisinga ebeeraga situation y'abasiraamu bwefaanana. Hatta ne mu ddiini yaffe, hatta ne mu practicing Palestine yetu checkinga netulaga bwe tufaanagana. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam yatugamba hadithi entuufu n'atugamba nti nations oba amawanga gagenda kujja n'amadiini ag'enjawulo batandika okubalwanyisa. Naye basahaba ne bamuuza Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam abasiraamu tebalibeera bangi ebiseera ebyo. N'abagamba nti nedda abasiraamu bagenda kubeera bangi naye ebiseera ebyo mugenda kubeera bangi naye ng'obungi bwamwe bulinga jjovu. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam yagamba kaghutha isail. Ne bamubuuza lwaki ogamba bagenda kubeera bwe batyo. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam n'agamba bagenda kubeera nga baagala nnyo obulamu bw'ensi eno. Yo problem gye tulina essaawa eno kitegeeza ng'abasiraamu bwe tulaba ebigenda mu maaso byonna mu nsi tulina okubeera nitwechekinga. Ekisembayo kye tuyiga ku bantu abo ekigenze kituggwamu ye patience. Okubeera nti tuli bagumiikiriza. Wallahi otunulira abantu embeera gye bawangaaliramu ng'omuntu famire ye yonna yafiiridde mu bomu. N'osanga omuntu ng'akugamba nti ne bakazi ne bajjajja naani bonna baaweddewo naye nga wallahi akyagamba hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakiil. Weeteeka mu ngatto z'abo abantu n'ogamba nti nze singa nze abadde mu mbeera eyo nandibadde ngumiikiriza ng'Abapalestina bagumiikiriza. Kitegeeza Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala okutuleetera ebigezo ebyo byonna kubeera nti tulina kufunamu kyakuyiga ne tutandika okucekinga imaani zaffe. Wallahi era Nabbi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam yakyogera mu hadithi entuufu n'atugamba nti fitina bwe ziri jeri umma yange imaani egenda kuddayo edde fi ardhu sham mu bantu b'omu Sham. Naye abantu abo batuyigiza kye bayita obugumiikiriza. Abantu abo batandise okubeera nti batulaga ekintu tutandika okwesyoninga imaani zaffe. Simanyi omwalaba ebifaananyi n'ekifaananyi kye nasanga ku Twitter ng'omuzikiti gwaweddewo naye nga ku makya ku subuhi wallahi bazze n'omuzikiti we gwabadde nga bayimirizaawo jama. Abantu abali mu mbeera bwetu baba nga basobola okuyimirizaawo ejjama. Olowooza ffe abali mu mbeera gye tulimu essaawa eno tuyina ensonga yonna lwaki tetuyimirizaawo swala ya jama? Waliwo sitole y'omukyala baagiraga. Omukyala baamuggyayo wansi mafunfugu. Wallahi omukyala n'asaba akakaaya. N'agamba temugenda kunzirayo nga sina kakaaya. Ensonga y'emu ye yali mu Turkey. Omukyala baamuggyayo waliyo earthquakes ne bamuggyayo wansi n'agamba naye temugenda kunfulumya nga sina kakaaya. weebuuza ekibuuzo nti ffe ababeera mu bulamu bwe tuwangaliramu tebulina challenge yonna, tewaliwo omuntu yena yali akusonzeemu yadde olunwe olw'ensonga nti otaddeko akabonero k'obusiraamu. Mulowooza si ffe abalina okusookerwako okubeera nitukola ebintu ebyo ne tuzuukuka? Kakati bye bigambo ebyo bye tufuna mu Palestine byetuyigiriza nti bannange abasiraamu tulina okuzuukuka. aqulu ma tasma'una wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن هدى بهدي إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, upon whom we all rely. He's our cherish, our sustain, our own ally. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our good deeds multiply and that our bad deeds and evils nullify. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bestow His endless blessings and peace upon His blessed creature Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, upon whose prophethood we all testify. It is through His guidance shall our hearts purify and our souls shall beautify. We see what's going on in the world right now. Every single Muslim is saying free Palestine. We say free Palestine from the river to the sea. But have you sat down for a second to think that instead of us helping to free Palestine, right now Palestine is freeing us? Palestine is freeing us. With whatever is going on in that part of the world, those people are showing us something that is awakening a spirit in the Muslim Ummah right now. First of all, let's talk about our brotherhood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً, that we the Muslims, we are brothers and sisters. Right now, Palestine has awakened the spirit of brotherhood among Muslims. We've showed the world that our brotherhood transcends borders, that our brotherhood transcends skin color, our brotherhood transcends language. Our brotherhood comes first and our deen comes first. And the reason as to why we do that is because Islam is the only religion that can unite people in the world. Wallahi. If you sat down to think about that for a second, you tell me one thing you may think about, anything that can unite people than Islam in the world. Tell me one. Look at our masjid. Someone coming from the Arab world, someone coming from Pakistan, India, Nigeria, Somalia, they're all sitting side by side. If someone goes to China, before they even understand the Chinese language, it's just about someone hearing the adhan. And you go like, okay, let me go to my brothers. This is the brotherhood I'm talking about. Now, we see this in real time, that Palestine is awakening our brotherhood. We are showing the world that, hey, we are all together. And this is something we are supposed to even to apply on a local level. We lack something in our brotherhood. Just look at Uganda. For how long have we been in Islam? Since 1846. The Christians, the Protestants and the Catholics came 30 years after. But look at what they are doing by comparison to us Muslims here in Uganda. We are having the biggest population of Muslims in all business hubs in town. Wallahi. Mention any business hub, you're going to find Muslims. That means we are not having a money problem. We are not having a money problem. Do you know the problem we're having? We're having an organizational problem. We're having a brotherhood problem. That's what we're having. And one of the problems we are facing right now is professionals thinking that they're on the other side of the aisle. Even the sheikhs and imams are also on the other side of the aisles. But what I'm talking about right now, that hey, professionals, we need you. We need your expertise. Can I tell you something? Wallahi, the whole world is awakened about Palestine, and all people are aware of what's going on in Palestine, but it came from Muslims being equipped with people who can speak up. I'm going to tell you about something that happened in London. I don't know whether you know the Piers Morgan show. There is a man called Piers Morgan. He's a journalist in the UK, but this man had a show. On his show, he had only two Muslims. One is called Muhammad Hijab, and the second one is a comedian called Basim Yusuf. But all of them combined, you know how many views we got on YouTube? Something like 70 million views. 70 million views. But because of the way they were articulate and the way they presented their arguments, that means in such situations we need professionals. We need professional journalists to come and speak up. We need professional journalists. We need video editors for us to take our message on another level. Because we can change the world right now with our phone. People are being sensitized. People know what's going on there because of our smartphones. That means we need more Muslims to come up. Here in Uganda, we need bloggers. We need bloggers. I'm not talking about bloggers who just talk, who are just saying something, but I'm talking about bloggers who have something to say to the public. Because right now we see the trend of the world that a blogger can change the world by changing the rhetoric and the language. That means Palestine is freeing us, it's freeing our minds. It's showing us that, hey, you can do something. You can change the world. Let me tell you something else. There is a trend that is going on in America. It started on TikTok. There is a book club on TikTok in America where people are like, oh, look at this faith of Palestinians. These people are very patient. These people are having an ironclad faith. We should think about their religion. Let's start reading their book. They started slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Wallahi, people started reading the Quran. Every single person could post on TikTok that, hey, I'm a non-Muslim reading the Quran. I'm a non-Muslim reading the Quran. Do you know what resulted? Do you know the result of that? One of them in the book club in America, a woman called Megan Rice, she embraced Islam after 2 weeks of reading the Quran. Wallahi. They didn't know they were posting ayats from the Quran. They were like, oh, they told us that Islam is about, is about people who are very tough people who don't like the world, who are going to bomb us all. This is what they told us. Now they found out that this is a religion of peace. It's having a very pragmatic and a very practical way of life that is going to free them. They were like, okay, let's read more. Megan Rice embraced Islam. Wallahi, even other people in the book club started embracing Islam. Right now they are doing DAAWAH. That means with Palestine, people's eyes are opening up. People's eyes are opening up. What do I mean by this? That as Muslims, you're supposed to keep on doing the DAAWAH. And one of the types of DAAWAHs we've ignored as Ugandan Muslims is DAAWAH for the non-Muslims. Can you tell me one mission we have as DAAWAH for the non-Muslims? But you know who's supposed to start the DAAWAH? Is you yourself. We're having professionals here. But can you imagine that a Muslim can go to a workplace when people don't even know that person is a Muslim? When your workmates do not even have an idea that you're Muslim. We are supposed to know that we are the ambassadors of this message wherever we go. Let me tell you something I always use. If I get a border man, and the border man says that, I want 5,000. I tell them that, okay, I'm going to give you 4,000. As we reach, I give him 5,000. I tell him that, okay, you know what? I've added you the 1,000 because I'm a Muslim. Someone may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Wallahi al-azim. They will never forget that. Now we should bring back in the days, people like who started Islam here in Uganda, they didn't have a lot of knowledge, but wallahi, their brotherhood was strong. They used to unite people. They bring people over to their houses to eat food. We shouldn't take such things for granted. That is what we call community dominance. For us to dominate community, to bring people together, to show them that, hey, we are the leaders. That is we the Muslims positioning ourselves as leaders in society. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, that وَلَقَدْ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us a moderate ummah, a just ummah, لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, for us to be witnesses to the people. We should tell people about Islam. We should tell people about the Quran. We should tell people about the ethics of Islam. We should clear misconceptions. How are you going to do that? If you're a businessman, get some money and sponsor DAAWAH. I'm a da'i myself. I happen to work on radio. But do you know how many radio programs are not sponsored? And wallahi, the most programs that are not sponsored on radio are Islamic programs, da'wah programs. But how do you expect our children and the next generation to change if you don't change the language people are speaking? We should care about that. We should know that the language you speak and the message people listen to has a lot of power. Let's sponsor media houses, Muslim media houses. Let's sponsor radios. Let's bring forth bloggers that are going to tell people about Islam. We should take this very, very seriously. And this is how Palestine is freeing us. Lastly, we've seen Muslims in every single part of the world, everyone talking about Palestine. And this is what we've showed to the world, that whether someone is black or brown or white, our brotherhood transcends everything. Everything. Unfortunately, lastly, I saw some people here online who are saying that, okay, we are Muslims, you understand. But, Africans, we have enough problems. We can't talk about such problems on the other side of the world. We had some people having such a thinking. But let me tell you something. This is Baytul Maqdis. This was our first Qibla. And you know that amongst the people who conquered Baytul Maqdis to come into the hands of Muslims, wallahi, was Bilal ibn Rabah. Bilal ibn Rabah. And Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, as he entered Baytul Maqdis, he told Bilal ibn Rabah to make the adhan. And Bilal ibn Rabah told Umar that I had vowed that I'm only going to make adhan when the Prophet is still alive. The Prophet is dead. I'm not going to make adhan anymore. And Umar told Bilal ibn Rabah that if you do this, the Prophet is going to be happy about it. And Bilal ibn Rabah made adhan. Among the people that freed Baytul Maqdis to be shared by Jews, Christians, and Muslims was Bilal ibn Rabah. We shouldn't forget that. Islam, even its own propagation in the first 5 years, before it went to Medina, before it went to Sham, before it went to any other place in the world, it came to Africa. It came to Africa. And if you didn't know this, let me tell you this, by percentage, we're having more Muslims than any other continent. That shows you our position in Islam and what we are supposed to do and what we can change in Islam. That means in Islam, we don't have any superiority of any race of another race. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The most honorable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most God-fearing. This is what we're supposed to do. Now there is nothing like, me, I'm black first. We see people online saying that. I'm black first before I'm Muslim. It's like, no. It's like, no. You're Muslim first before we think about your race, before we think about your language. You're Muslim first because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought this religion to be a uniting factor for all the people around the world. Lastly, I want you to mention one thing, whether it's a political ideology or an economic ideology or religion or anything that is uniting people from diverse parts of the world, from different parts of the world than Islam. Tell me one thing. Tell me one. I have a friend who went to Canada. But wallahi, all other people are looking at ways they are going to make ends meet. Do you know what the brother told me? The moment I reached Montreal, I looked for a masjid. Right now he's working. As I'm talking now, he's working because he found brothers. Oh, brothers, where are you coming from? I'm coming from Uganda. This is our brotherhood. Don't you really think that this is so beautiful? Don't you really think that we should be so proud of this religion? And I want to remind people, most especially people that are coming from the Arab world, that when Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu first entered Baytul Maqdis, do you know what he said? He was quoted to say, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu said that نحن قوم, we are a group of people, أعزنا الله بالإسلام. Allah made us superior. Allah gave us honor because of Islam. وَمَهْمَا ابْتَغَيْنَا الْعِزَّةُ بِغَيْرِهِ أَذَلَّنَا اللَّهُ. And the moment we shall seek honor from anything else that is not Islam, أَذَلَّنَا اللَّهُ. Allah is going to humiliate us. The moment we start looking at color, the moment we start looking at what part of the world is this person coming from, what kind of Muslim is talking, what kind of, أذلنا الله. Allah is going to humiliate us. ألا فصل على الأكرم ذمنا الله حيث قال إن الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك اللهم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وارض اللهم عن أربعة الخلفاء الراشدين أبو بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن بقية أصحاب رسول الله أجمعين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين، اللهم انصرهم عن العدو الصهيوني يا الله. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأقم